My name is Crystal and I'm the Sexual Assault Coordinator here at Bay Area Turning Point. This week we'll be discussing the important sexual assault movements and the history behind them. In 1975, a group of women gathered in London, England to take a stance against the sexual violence they often encountered once the sun set. This marked the first official Take Back the Night March. The annual Take Back the Night marches quickly gathered international support. In 1978, the first Take Back the Night events in the United States were held in San Francisco and New York City. Over time, sexual assault awareness activities expanded to include the issues of sexual violence against men and men's participation in ending sexual violence. In the early 1980s, the National Coalition Against Sexual Assault encouraged each state to organize sexual violence awareness activities during the Sexual Assault Awareness Week. By the 1990s, that week turned into a month, and that month was April. Since that time, Sexual Assault Awareness Month campaign has targeted a number of issues surrounding the sexual violence, such as sexual assault on campuses, healthy sexuality, sexual harassment at work, preventing violence in school, and speaking out against rape in order to raise awareness and educate individuals on how to prevent sexual violence in our community. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center has encouraged individuals, organizations, companies, schools, elected officials, and every member in our community to continue to make Sexual Assault Awareness Month a part of their activities in April each year. The first Tuesday in April is the Sexual Assault Awareness Month's Day of Action. This day provides an opportunity for everyone to take action in preventing sexual violence. You can find events in your area by getting in contact with the local domestic violence shelter. Wearing teal as a ribbon, shirt, or an accessory will serve as a conversation starter for important issues about consent, respect, and supporting survivors. Since the inception of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month, many groundbreaking movements have begun. #MeToo was initially used in a context on social media in 2006 on MySpace by sexual assault survivor, activist, and advocate for women in New York, Tarana Burke. She aimed to empower women who endured sexual violence, especially young and vulnerable women of color, by letting them know that they were not alone and that other women had suffered the same experience. Nationwide, 81% of women and 43% of men reported experiencing some form of sexual harassment or assault, according to the 2018 study conducted by the University of California. In 2017, Alyssa Milano shared a tweet where she stated, "If all the women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted wrote Me Too as a status, we might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem." Twitter users posted the hashtag almost 1 million times within 2 days. The movement spilled over to Facebook, where 4.7 users shared 12 million posts within the last 24 hours. Years later, people continued to share the stories of the hashtag MeToo across many different social media platforms. Many are now open to and passionate about discussing the issues surrounding sexual violence. The Me Too movement has prompted sweeping changes, affirming for survivors that they are not alone, developed a stronger community where survivors have a voice, demonstrated how widespread the issue is, shifted the social norms and opinions about the issue, exposed belief systems that enabled abuse, increased compassion for survivors, and the Me Too movement has also spurred several states, including California, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, and Virginia, to ban the use of non-disclosure agreements to cover up sexual harassment. Following this ban, President Biden signed the Speak Out Act into law December 2022. This act allows many victims of sexual assault to come forward to receive the justice they deserve. The Me Too movement has also created avenues for survivors to speak up and share their stories. It has also highlighted the need for formal anti-harassment policies. It also inspired the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund, which has provided legal representation to thousands of survivors, and resulted in the new legal standards by the International Labor Organization. In 1992, an 18-year-old woman in Italy was raped by her 45-year-old driving instructor. He was originally convicted, but the conviction was overturned upon the appeal that her jeans were so tight she had to help them get them off, which the court deemed to imply consent. The day following the conviction, the women of the Italian parliament launched a protest by wearing jeans on the steps of the Supreme Court. This made international news. The women of the California Senate followed suit wearing jeans at the Capitol building in Sacramento. In 1999, Peace Over Violence, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building healthy relationships free from sexual, domestic, and interpersonal violence, developed Denim Day. Since then, what started as a local campaign to bring awareness to victim blaming and destructive myths that surround sexual violence has grown into a movement. As the longest-running sexual violence prevention and education campaign in history, Denim Day asked the community members, businesses, and students make a social statement with their fashion by wearing jeans on this day as a visible means of protest against the misconceptions that surround sexual violence. You can participate in Denim Day with Bay Area Turning Point on April 24th. 1990s, an artist, Rachel Carey Harper, came up with the idea of hanging color-coded t-shirts on a clothesline in a public place to gain recognition of the issues after hearing that while 58,000 soldiers died in the Vietnam War, there were 51,000 women killed around the same time by men who claimed to love them. She brought the concept and design to a group of women in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which started the Clothesline Project. This group thought it was naturally the thing to do since women were known for doing laundry and exchanging information while their clothes were hanging out to dry. Each woman has the opportunity to tell her story by decorating a shirt with words and art that represents her experience. She then can hang the shirts on a clothesline for the world to view. Since then, the Clothesline Project has received publicity and articles from various magazines and huge national response that turned this project into a worldwide campaign. As of 2011, there were an estimate between 500 projects nationally and internationally involving about 50,000 to 60,000 t-shirts. The clothesline display shirts that exhibit a great range of abuse. Despite the fact that each individual shirt has a one-of-a-kind significance, a color code is used to identify the different forms of abuse. White is for women who died as a result of violent acts. Yellow or beige are for women who have been battered or assaulted. Red, pink, or orange represent women survivors of rape and sexual assault. Blue or green is for women survivors of incest and sexual abuse. Purple or lavender represents women attacked due to their sexual orientation. Brown or gray are for survivors of emotional, verbal, or spiritual abuse. And black is for women disabled as a result of an attack or assaulted because of their disability. Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is an event that started back in 2001 with a small group of men walking in high heels to stand up against sexual violence. Since then, it has grown to tens of thousands of men across the country taking a pledge to walk a mile in her shoes to raise millions of dollars for local rape crisis center, domestic violence shelters, and other sexualized violence education and prevention programs. I hope this year more in our community take part in spreading awareness to sexual violence and more survivors feel safe to speak out or seek help. Thank you for attending this week's web series. See you next week.